Hi everybody, I'm Tainá and I'm here talking from Münster, very cold winter, and soon going to the even colder Oslo in Norway. I post videos about human rights and equality, so if you want to know more, just remember to subscribe and follow up on our YouTube channel. Today, I'll be talking about the tuition fees in Norwegian universities from students who come from outside of the European Union. Students that are not nationals from the EU are now running the risk of having to pay tuition fees for studying in Norwegian universities. What do we know? I've sent an email to 7 of the 9 political parties that are in Stortinget, the parliament in Norway, protesting about this change, explaining the reasons for my opposition, and making myself available for further conversation with them. So I've got an answer from SV, Arbeiderpartiet, which is the party of the Prime Minister, Rødt, and Venstre. That was it, right? Miljøpartiet didn't answer.
No.
Høyre didn't answer. KrF didn't answer. And with that, that's 7. That's it. And what did they say in their email? Everybody manifested that they also are not in favor of this change. The more mild response came from Arbeiderpartiet that said that in principle they are also against making this change, but that in the current situation and such a difficult budgetary situation that they perceive that Norway is now in, that they don't see any alternative in the moment. So they are linking this provisional situation, this emergency situation, to a change that could run the risk of getting rather permanent. But what do they all say? They appear to indicate that at this moment it is highly unlikely that there will not be tuition fees for non-EU students in the upcoming year. Actually in this year. So for those that are already admitted to studies. This change is being made through the budget, and the budget was approved in December in the parliament. So it appears that students that got accepted to the master or bachelor or høyskole in Norway, they should expect to pay something. It's not clear how much students should expect to pay, since it is the universities themselves that are going to make this choice. And this change faces resistance against the very universities that have to decide how much the students are going to pay. This is a rather vague answer. You should expect to pay, because it does seem extremely unlikely, and the political parties themselves indicate that the budget was approved, so this change appears to be very much confirmed, but it's still, I know that it's still very vague, and if you applied for studies in Norway, you don't know how much you should be expected to pay, and unfortunately there is not more information. Just know that the universities, in general, they are against the change, and perhaps this is gonna also make a difference when they have to establish the prices for the studies. So that's it. Does this mean that the fight is over? No, it shouldn't be. Note that the parties that are there, that make the coalition for the government that is currently in force in Norway, as well as opposition parties that are very strong as well, they manifested that they are against this change, that they are not in favor that non-EU students will pay for their studies. This means a lot. Even Arbeiderpartiet, the Labour Party, said that they do not think that this is ideal or something that they are in principle in favor of. So there is already opposition to this. There is a lot of space for us to nurture and act so that we can react to this change. In addition, just recall that the provision for tuition fees, this is taking place through the budget. But this is an estimation of costs and an estimation of how much the state expects to pay and to receive. This is not a law, this is not a regulation yet. This is something that changes every year. What we need to do is to react, is to show resistance. And without political manifestation, without this movement, this will really not change. And that came now as something that responds to a rather temporary issue, which is the budgetary situation in Norway, could run the risk of getting permanent if we do not react. So we have to react. if you're seeing this video and either you want to study in Norway and you think that education should be free, or you are not applying for Norway but you still think that education should be free for everybody, and especially, not especially, but if you are Norwegian and this change doesn't affect you, remember that your voice means a lot for the political parties in Norway. So take a stand. What can you do? First, we can organize protests and make them quite regularly in Oslo, in Bergen, in Stavanger, in Tromsø, in your city, wherever you are. Secondly, you can send messages. I did this and I highly recommend that you do the same. Prepare a message, an email, and send it to every political party in Norway that is in Stortinget and the parliament. I've also copied my email to the leaders of the parties. You can do that as well as you can also send it to the parties and to the members that represent the party and the parliament. They do read your message, and it makes such a big difference. It makes pressure if we as a group, if society starts manifesting against this. So we have to take a stand. This is not gonna change if we do not start a movement as well. So send messages, send this video to your colleagues, to people that also believe in free education, and ask them also to manifest if they can, be it by sharing this video or by sending an email to the parliament in Norway, to the political parties. If you have any ideas, just write it here now, just write it down in the comments so we can talk a little bit more about this. We can change this, and I really believe we should.
Maybe sign the petition as well?
Sign the petition as well. I put the petition in our former video. I'm gonna put it here again in the comments section, and let us know how is it going for you, if you have any updates yourself or any ideas of how we can organize this protest.
Cool. Then all that's left, I think, is showing the ducks.
In time of budgetary constraints, it's very common for states to adopt measures that promote permanent changes. And when you reach a certain point, it's difficult to go back. It's important that we stop now before the change really can become permanent, and that we show that in a situation in which a state has to make choices due to the budget, the choices have to take into consideration human rights, and a budgetary crisis has to be tackled through a human rights perspective, taking into consideration the impact of the choices that states are making on rights such as the right to equality and non-discrimination. When you take the whole budget of the university and how much the university is gonna receive with international students that are not from the EU coming to the university, how much impact will this really promote versus how much negative this will be for the rest of the world. By doing this, Norway will basically have a few people with scholarships and then the elite from outside of the EU. This reinforces the rates of low mobility and social stratifications in countries that already have very high rates of stratification. Norway can do better. It argues for more. It argues for values that it has to put in practice as well in its policies, both internally and internationally. Okay, I am Tainá Garcia Maia. I'm a Brazilian lawyer. I have a Master in Human Rights by the University of Oslo, and I'm now a PhD fellow in law in Germany. I have done research and professional stays in the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the Brazilian Supreme Court, and the General Assembly of the United Nations. If you wanna know more about human rights, don't forget to subscribe in our channel. And if there are any topics that you would like for us in this channel to discuss, or questions that you have concerning human rights or any specific topic, just put it down in the comments, and we're gonna be paying attention and perhaps we're gonna make a video about your suggestion next. Bye!